Now we're going to roll up our sleeves and get to work on those chakras, number 20. And those chakras are the signs of the Lords of the Seven Rays and their initiation. If you look on the screen, you'll see your heart chakra. It has 12 petals. This is page 5, number 20, number A. We're going to see on the screen the heart chakra and each of the 7 chakras. And the next slide you're going to see is the violet fire burning through what appear to be rocks or clumps of wood. You have to imagine this at the cellular level of karma lodging in the cells and molecules and atoms of your being, flecks of dust or soot or crystallized substance that has a negative vibration. That is exactly how karma clogs our beings, our bodies, the earth, the water, the air. And that is why we get burdened, and that's why our vibrations go down. The definition of vibration, by the way, is the rate of the spin of the electron around the atoms of your being. That's the truth, and that's what you'll read about in the first Keeper of the Flame lesson. So what happens is that the density of our consciousness, because it's God's light, we're misqualifying, it accumulates as fine dust or smog between those wide open spaces of the electrons. So they slow down, they can't pass through as easily. And the rate of that revolution of the electron around the nucleus determines your personal vibration. And the more you have light and the violet flame, the more you accelerate, the more you have energy. There is a new joy in your life because the electrons themselves are enjoying that cosmic spin you're giving them. So that substance that gets heavy between the electrons has been compared to molasses or asphalt hardened or to clumps of substance like on the screen. So if you look at the chakras on the chakra man, whom we'll put up now, and you'll see on the very front of your booklet, see where those chakras are in your body. Where they are in your body means that if you have problems in that area of the body, you are dealing with the karma you have made on that ray which corresponds to that chakra. So if you have a problem, let's say a chest problem in the lungs, you would associate that with the heart chakra and the throat chakra. So you would look for the clearing of those 2 chakras and also a scientific application of diet, the most scientific and satisfactory diet that parallels that of the ancient Eastern adepts that we have given back to us today is the macrobiotic diet, because it seeks to restore the balance of yin and yang, or alpha and omega. Now that's how we practice it at the Royal Teton Ranch. It is practiced according to the disciplines of the Ascended Masters. And you will find that if you can restore balance in your physical body, the physical body and atoms can contain more light, and therefore you have strength and balance physically to carry more light in your chakras. So this is a very physical path of self-mastery that we are walking under the Ascended Masters. So we're going to take number 20. We're going to say, I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires, 3 times between each of those lettered decrees. And if you see the order of the chakras, we're starting in the heart, which is the center, where the central sun of our being. And we're creating a spiral. The spiral goes through the throat, which is the 2nd chakra, the solar plexus, the 3rd eye, the seat of the soul, the crown, and we arrive at the base chakra of the Divine Mother, where we are ready to give the bija mantras, or seed syllables, for the raising of that sacred fire. So each time we do it, we'll see the pure chakra and its petals. Just for your information, the heart has 12, the throat 16, the solar plexus 10, the 3rd eye 96, the seat of the soul 6, the crown 972, and the base 4. Now the number of petals to the chakra determine its vibration and therefore the plane of heaven that it corresponds to. So the very base of the spine has the fewest petals because it relates closest to the physical octave, because it is the Divine Mother's light and life force that sustains our very physical bodies. So as you get higher and you get 972 petals, which is the 1,000-petal lotus, you really have a tremendously high pulsating frequency that can be in that crown chakra. So here we go. Look at the chakras, look at the violet flame, and visualize it blazing through those organs and cells that are near that place in your body. Beloved mighty I Am Presence, beloved Holy Christ Self, beloved Saint Germain and beloved Zadkiel, come forth now in the victory of the God flame. Seal us in the violet flame. Purge and purify us. Consume now all that is less than our Christ perfection. Transmute that energy and bless all life by its purity. Send it forth to our great causal body of love as the harvest of our good works on earth. Therefore we say together, I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. My heart is a chakra of violet fire. My heart is the purity God desires. My heart is a chakra of violet fire. My heart is the purity God desires. My heart is a chakra of violet fire. My heart is the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. My throat chakra is a wheel of violet fire. My throat chakra is the purity God desires. My throat chakra is a wheel of violet fire. My throat chakra is the purity God desires. My throat chakra is a wheel of violet fire. My throat chakra is the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. My solar plexus is a sun of violet fire. My solar plexus is the purity God desires. My solar plexus is a sun of violet fire. My solar plexus is the purity God desires. My solar plexus is a sun of violet fire. My solar plexus is the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. My third eye is the center of violet fire. My third eye is the purity God desires. My third eye is the center of violet fire. My third eye is the purity God desires. My third eye is the center of violet fire. My third eye is the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. My soul chakra is a sphere of violet fire. My soul is the purity God desires. My soul chakra is a sphere of violet fire. My soul is the purity God desires. My soul chakra is a sphere of violet fire. My soul is the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. My crown chakra is a lotus of violet fire. My crown chakra is the purity God desires. My crown chakra is a lotus of violet fire. My crown chakra is the purity God desires. My crown chakra is a lotus of violet fire. My crown chakra is the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. My base chakra is a fount of violet fire. My base chakra is the purity God desires. My base chakra is a fount of violet fire.
My base chakra is the purity God desires.
My base chakra is a fount of violet fire. My base chakra is the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am a being of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. You can keep accelerating that decree until you can't even hear the words anymore. And it has something to do with the acceleration of light in you. We seal this clearance then with the Bija mantras on page 4. These Bija mantras, 4 of them, show us that out of the Om, which is often written Om but can be written A-U-M, the vowels and the consonants form a chalice for light of a certain frequency depending on the pronunciation and the sound of those vowels. And so we see in the Hindu teaching concerning the Divine Mother that she has 4 distinct manifestations as a complement to the Trinity of the masculine aspect. Sarasvati, Lakshmi, Kali, and Durga, all forms of the Divine Mother in you. This Divine Mother manifests through you, and you are her hands and feet in many ways. Sarasvati teaches you divine communication, great knowledge, music. She is a master of the delivery of the word and the delivery of the teachings, and she is the consort of the Father. And her seed syllable is Aim. So we say the Om, which is bowing to the universal light. We qualify it with Aim, which gives the Sarasvati vibration, and then we bow to that personal manifestation of the Mother, Sarasvatiye Namaha. Lakshmi's seed syllable is Shrim, and Shrim gives the sound of Lakshmi, who is the complement of the second person of the Trinity, or the Divine Son. And she is the mother of abundance and the coordinate of that Christ light, or that universal Christ consciousness. Karim is the name of Kali, who complements the Holy Spirit as the exorcist, the mother who binds the demons who pursue and torment her children. She is like the wrathful goddess that is tremendously fierce and comes to strip her children of darkness. Durga, whose syllable is Dum, Dum, is the wife of the Holy Spirit, the perfect wife and Divine Mother. Cream is Kali's syllable. And the final little set of words is to the World Mother. So visualize the white light rising on the spinal altar and quickening all of the 7 chakras you have just cleared. Let us give these together.
Om Aim Sarasvatye Namaha. 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 Om Shrim Lakshmi 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 Namaha. Om Krim Kalikaye 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 Namaha. Om Dum Durgaye 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 Namaha. Aim Hrim Klim Chamundaye Viche. 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 Aim Hrim Klim Chamundaye Viche.
As you intone the Om, center yourself in your I Am presence at the same time as you center in the third eye. If you turn back to page 3, number 1, the hymn to the sun. First, look at your I Am presence on the screen, and then beyond the I Am presence, look at the sun behind the sun, which is the point of our origin in the very center of all cosmos, in the beginning with the Word. Just visualize that fiery sun as the source, the point of your origin. And let us give number 1 on page 3, the hymn to the sun. O mighty presence of God, I am in and behind the sun. I welcome thy light which floods all the earth, into my life, into my mind, into my spirit, into my soul. Radiate and blaze forth thy light. Break the bonds of darkness and superstition. Charge me with the great clearness of thy white fire radiance. I am thy child, and each day I shall become more of thy manifestation. We have just given Bija mantras to the Divine Mother, and we feel her wondrous presence with us. I want to tell you that the sounding of the Om draws the soul right back into that fiery spirit of the I Am that I Am and the sun behind the sun, to the point where in the beginning was Brahman and the Word, and without the Word was not anything made that was made. The universal sound of the Om accelerates our atoms and draws us back to that point of spirit. It is the name of God given out of the East for that process of ascending back to the point of reality through devotion to the Divine Mother. In the West, we are given the key, I am that I am, because when we have gone into the great being of God, and we are saturated and dripping with that light. We are sent once again to the plane of manifestation to coalesce in form that power. Thus universes are transformed by this cyclic going within and coming out. And it says, the Lord shall protect and guard and watch over thy going forth and thy coming in from this time forth, even forevermore. So the moment we say, I am that I am, the fruit of our meditation in the Om comes down into the physical, and we begin to master the physical environment, the physical octaves, and the elementals come into obedience to our Christ flame, the beings of fire, air, water, and earth, who must hold the balance for our planet. Now there are devotional songs that we sing to enter the heart of God. We've sung them of the West. I would like to just give you briefly the sound of a bhajan, a devotional song that you will find on page 18, number 70. This is to the universal Christ and his incarnation in Rama, in yourself, and to the twin flame of yourself, the divine appearing of the Father, Mother God in you through this incarnation. Feel the love of your heart weaving a spiral to the highest realms and octaves and vibrations of light. And then you feel the love of God as the universal Christ coming back to you. You can feel the tingling in your crown chakra, the quickening of your other chakras, as by this devotional song of the East, which uses the Om, which is in that tradition, you are realizing the Godhead here below.
Rama Rama Ram Yedunandana He Ganesham Hare Rama Rama Ram Yedunandana He Ganesham Hare Rama Rama Ram Yedunandana He Ganesham Hare Rama Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram 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 Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Sai 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 Ram Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sita Ram Patita Pavana Sita Ram Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sita Ram Patita Pavana Sita Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Sai Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Sai Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya 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 Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Sai Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Sai Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Sai Ram Shri Ram
Jaya Ram, Jaya Sai Ram.
Hare Rama Rama.
Now we have a 2-cassette album of 2 90s of nothing but these bhajans. And they are a very wondrous part of your devotional path, whereby ultimately the object of your devotion, who is that universal Christ, is realized as oneself. So if you feel the love ray in this song, they are available for your use. Now I would like to talk to you about the perfect master and the perfect crystal for you. I've told you the story of the Lords of the Seven Rays and the specifics of their previous incarnations in this book. This is 2 books in one. The first book goes into the details of their paths, of the realization of the light, the tests and difficulties they faced and overcame, and what it means to earn one's ascension on that particular path of their service. The second half of the book are the dictations of the Ascended Masters to Mark Prophet and myself that give their profound teachings. I would like you to know that these dictations have been given to us, to Mark Prophet since the early 50s, and myself, who met him in 1961 after I was trained since 1963. And they come by the Holy Spirit. They come by the acceleration and exalting of the aura as the Master places his presence over one and therefore speaks through one in his power and vibration to deliver initiation, teaching, prophecy, blessing, admonishment, and so forth. Now this is in the line and tradition of the ancient prophets who gave the word of the Lord, often dictations through them of the archangels. So this has been the means whereby the Ascended Masters have conveyed to us the lost teachings of East and West, as well as the New Age teachings, the everlasting gospel prophesied to come in the New Age in the 14th chapter of the book of Revelation. This is the work I've been doing then all of these years, and as you know, with the New Age movement, channeling has become very popular. I simply want to explain to you that I'm not a channel in that sense of the word, nor do I consider myself to be a psychic. There are psychics who read far better than I those things that are happening in the earth. My gift of the discernment of what is happening comes again through a gift of prophecy and of seeing because God shows me, not because I have in this life developed psychic powers. So that is my path, and I wanted to explain it to you, and I am in no way standing apart from or a contradiction of or judgmental of anyone else's paths or what you are bringing forth. I would only tell you that whatever you do, you can do with greater clarity and purity with the violet flame. And so that's why I like to give it to you. Now this evening, at the conclusion of our meeting, I will be delivering a dictation from an Ascended Master or an Archangel. And so that is a very special event and a very tremendous release of light. It is something personal to everyone present, and it is a conveyance of light. So that is why we affiliate ourselves with the Ascended Masters, because we desire to become Ascended Masters. You always apprentice yourself to the teacher who is on the path that you want to fulfill. So if you know what these masters are like, you can pick a master and say, I will study under that master and I will give his mantras and decrees and I will ask him to sponsor me. Of course, many Ascended Masters are sponsoring all of us, so you don't have to think you need to only pick one master. One of the important reasons for studying the lives of the masters concerns you and your twin flame. And I want to talk about the great central sun now, and our twin flames and our point of origin. I'd also like to tell you that the Lords of the Seven Rays are all devotees of the Divine Mother. You don't ascend without becoming a devotee of the Divine Mother's light. And the greatest of all masters are the greatest devotees of the Divine Mother. And so that is a very fact of existence. And the great beings, the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, and those in the higher octaves all have that tremendous gentleness as well as the tremendous power of the Divine Mother. When you see the Buddha in meditation in his statues, he is meditating on the pure white light of the Divine Mother. He is in love with the Divine Mother as the Divine Mother is in love with the Buddha. And the Buddha is the enlightened one, and you are on the path of becoming a bodhisattva being a disciple on the way to that realization. So you and your twin flame began in the white sphere of being, and you were created by Elohim and the great central sun in the beginning. And male and female you were created, one with a plus and one with a minus charge. And you can see within that sphere center the Tai Chi forming, and it forms by the cosmic spin, the movement of this great sphere of light. God showed me the central sun many years ago and took me up and showed me the mystery of creation. And creation is in the turning, is in the spin of the central sun. And so, as you each have an identity as the plus, the fiery white spirit of the masculine, and then the blue of the feminine and the negative or minus polarity. So it's the father, mother, the masculine, feminine, the yang, the yin, or the plus and the minus. And on these twin identities, the whole cosmos hangs. We have a spirit cosmos and we have a matter cosmos. And so we are extensions of this divine spirit suspended in the matter cosmos, in the great sea of this plane of effect. We are the body of the mother, and the whole physical universe is the body of the mother. When we were created in the beginning as twin flames, remaining in this circle of fire, we journeyed together through those 7 concentric rings of light, spending many cycles in each of those inner spheres, gathering skeins of our cosmic consciousness on those 7 rays, and 5 secret rays whose bands are shown on our chart just as the white, because they are closest to the center, they are at another angle, and they are called the secret rays, and they correspond to the secret ray chakras, 1 in each hand, 1 in each foot, 1 corresponding to the 8th ray chakra of the heart. The places where Jesus was nailed to the cross on his hands and feet, where the spear pierced the side in the direction of that secret chamber of the heart, show us those secret ray chakras, and that the crucifixion itself is an initiation on those 5 rays. For that very purpose, Saint Germain has required that I wear these gemstones on each of my 5 fingers, so that in the mudras of the Divine Mother, I am releasing that light, or he is releasing it through me, through these particular focuses. Now, at the conclusion of the dictation this evening, I'm going to be taking this emerald crystal that Saint Germain secured long ago for me for the sealing of the 3rd eye. And this crystal corresponds to the 5th ray, which is the emerald ray. It is an emerald, and you can see it on the screen as you can see it in my hand. This is a very interesting crystal because from particles of real emerald, it is placed in a tray in a laboratory in certain chemicals, and it grows. This little crystal grew in 9 months. So you see, a crystal like this, of course, would be out of the question for any of us if it were raw from the earth. But created in a laboratory, it is accessible to us. Now, the emerald is always used in connection with the 3rd eye. And this initiation which Saint Germain gives you at the end of this evening is prophesied in Revelation 7. It's called the sealing of the servants of God in their 3rd eye. And it comes at the end of the age of Pisces, after the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse are riding through the land and delivering their karma, delivering the karma of the nations upon them. And there begins to be a great disturbance in the elements and the great winds. And an angel of the Lord appears and he says, "Hurt not the earth until I have sealed the servants of God in their foreheads." And the scripture says that 144,000 are sealed. which I believe is the complete number of initiates on the 12 signs of the zodiac, and not necessarily a physical number. But for many, many years I've been traveling around the world giving these teachings and placing this emerald to the third eye at the conclusion of the evening. Now, why does Saint Germain use an emerald? First of all, I mentioned to you it corresponds to the third eye. But secondly, none of us have today the adeptship, the mastery in our chakras, to contain the light that is sufficient and required for the holding of the balance in the earth. So God, through the nature spirits and beings, has placed in the ground tremendous deposits of crystals, as well as gemstones. A crystal, then, is a molecular chalice. Saint Germain can place through the molecular structure of the emerald a ray that is specifically the right amount of energy for the sealing of your third eye, for the inner vision to be quickened, and for you to fulfill your divine plan in this age, even to bring you closer to your twin flame, and also to remove from you false teachings of false gurus. Therefore, the crystal is a tool of you, of the adepts, and of the masters. And I was saying it is a molecular chalice. I'll show you this piece of rock crystal. This is crystal quartz. Why do we use it? Why has it become the fad of the new age? Why do we associate crystals with it? Well, the real reason is that it goes back to Atlantis and Lemuria. It goes back to the high priest in Israel. He wore a breastplate. There were 12 stones on this breastplate. And each of those 12 stones was for the initiation of the 12 tribes who had to fulfill the Christ on one of those 12 signs of the zodiac as a path of initiation. When I say that this is a molecular chalice, I mean precisely that. This has a chemical formula of its molecule containing metals, elements, whatever it is made of. And that precise formula defines this as crystal quartz, something else as amethyst quartz, something else as rose quartz, as an emerald, a sapphire, a garnet, and so forth. All of those stones then are molecular chalices. They carry a vibration in the physical, in the negative polarity, which becomes a vessel and a magnet to draw the exact counterpart of spiritual energy in the plus polarity. So they serve as adjuncts to our development of our chakras. We can place a crystal upon our altar where we meditate and pray, and you should have a little altar, nothing fancy, a little table with a little cloth on it, a chart of the I Am Presence to visualize your divinity, the sponsors of the Piscean and Aquarian dispensations, these pictures of Saint Germain and Jesus, and a crystal symbolizing the chalice that is you. As you pray at that altar, or you may give your yoga in the same room, you give your dynamic decrees, it becomes a consecrated place. It's consecrated by you, it's consecrated by your Holy Christ self. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob would also raise an altar wherever they went. Moses, as he wandered through the wilderness with the children of Israel, they would always immediately erect the altar, put the ark in place, the Holy of Holies, where they would camp. So wherever you camp, you raise that little altar. So a crystal then becomes a chalice of light, and as you repeat mantras, and you feel that light flowing through you, that light can actually coalesce or crystallize in the focus of your choosing. So when I went out on this lecture tour of the United States beginning October 1st, speaking in the cities across the nation, I asked the Lords of the Seven Rays, who are the sponsoring masters of our path of individual Christhood, what was their assignment. And they told me that in addition to giving the basic lost teachings of Jesus and the prophecies of Saint Germain, that they wanted to send out in these troubled times, where many prophecies are coming upon us, a crystal, a gemstone, that would be charged with their ray and vibration, so that individuals could identify the path and the ray of the service that they, with their twin flame, chose in the beginning in the central sun, after going through the 7 spheres and the 5 secret rays, so that they could reacquaint themselves with that ray and be accelerated on the ray of their greatest strength and their chakra of the greatest strength. And this you can discover by looking at yourself and seeing how you relate to the 7 masters I'm going to tell you about now, how you feel about their color, their vibration, their ray, their past lives, and what they tell you about yourself. You actually have a major ray and a minor ray, something that you've really accelerated on, and then a secondary ray that is supportive. So 2 of those 7 rays you probably have a great development on. So I'm going to tell you about the masters, and I'm going to tell you about their rays. So what they assigned me to do is to gather the best and finest qualities of crystals and gemstones. The most expensive gemstones, diamond, sapphire, ruby, and emerald, are all laboratory made. Some think they're not as good, but you see they have the same molecular structure, and that means they can carry the same vibration. So they are very easy to be acquired because they are very inexpensive. So I've collected from around the world, from the East, from the Middle East, from South America, the finest qualities of these. They were brought to the ranch, to the altar. I made the invocation to the Lords of the 7 rays as they instructed me to do, because that spoken word needs to come from this level. And as I called forth the light of the blessing of these and the charging of them, I saw the most magnificent waterfall of light descending, as crystal light as a waterfall, with rainbow rays descending into these stones. And these masters, all of them ascended masters, explained to me that as the individual acquires that stone, it becomes a tie between himself and the master who uses it. And as he gives the violet flame and raises his vibration, the master can increase the charge of that stone. So that is why you see in the foyer these various precious and semi-precious stones and crystals, along with the pictures of the masters. Now, one thing I would like to tell you before I set this crystal down is that when you acquire crystals anywhere, with the exception of these, which are all charged by the masters, but if you acquire jewelry, or if you have already done so, you need to remember that anything that is part of the earth body is in vibration with that earth. And in the earth today, there is a very serious weight of world karma. It may not be your karma, but we live on this planet, and we live in it. So that something that comes out of the earth is not immune to it. Also, used jewelry, antique jewelry, things handed down to you, need to be demagnetized because they contain the vibrations of the wearer. And unwittingly, you may become burdened by those vibrations. So we don't get a crystal and charge it, we get a crystal and demagnetize it. And when it's demagnetized, then we charge it. So I'm going to demonstrate to you how I would demagnetize this crystal and then charge it. First of all, the 2 hands, again, chakras. Look at your hands, the very palm of your hand, in that center is a chakra. And in the 5 fingers, those 5 rays go forth from you. Now those of you who are involved in healing, any of the alternative healing methods of the New Age, the lost arts of Jesus healing, as well as standard medical profession, you can take your 2 hands and place them on the balance of the form, like one on a foot of each person. You reflexologists, you know what I'm talking about sending light through those nerve centers. You can put 2 hands on someone's shoulders, on the back, or take their hands, and you can call for the light from you to activate and intensify in them, especially even in an emergency situation while you are waiting for professional help to arrive. So through our 2 hands, the reason that we can do this is that from your mighty I Am presence there descends the light of Alpha in your right hand, the light of Omega in your left hand, plus, minus. It's like plugging in. The 2 hands convey then the wholeness of the current of God. So remember, you are not healers, you are instruments of the divine healer. I can't heal anybody, but God heals people through me. And that's what we have to remember. So I take my two hands, and I could charge a glass of water even as I would charge this crystal. But this is for demagnetization, but it's the same position. The omega holds the bottom, even as you would put your hand under a glass, and the alpha goes on top. So now I'm creating a closed circuit around this crystal. I'm going to call to God to demagnetize it by the great sphere of white fire. You can put the large crystal on the screen. The large crystal you're about to see is on the altar of the chapel at the ranch. The great central sun magnet is what I want you to remember. I want you to remember that wording, because it's the great central sun magnet that demagnetizes anything. So I will call in the name of my I Am Presence and Holy Christ Self. You all have an I Am Presence and Holy Christ Self. You all have a throat chakra. You can all make the call because you all have a divine spark. And I'm going to use the light of my presence, the instrument of my 7 chakras, as well as the sacred breath for this demagnetization. This is a sample call that you can give as well. In the name of Almighty God, in the name I am that I am, I call forth light. Demagnetize then this crystal. Demagnetize it of all vibration, out of balance, out of alignment, all karmic records of the planet or the area where it has been, all hands that have touched it, all human vibrations, anything less than the Christ. By the power of the great central sun magnet, let every atom and molecule of this crystal be demagnetized now. By the power and light of the 7 rays, I call it forth and I decree it. And I accept it done in full power, and I thank thee, O God. This is cleared just as you would clear a computer. Now you have an empty vessel. By the same process, day by day, through the violet flame and the chakra meditations, you are clearing the crystal of self. The greatest crystals that you can ever have are your own chakras. And the greatest crystal of all is you. You are God's crystal of Himself. In fact, you are the crystallization of the God flame. You are the Christ realization of that flame. So crystals are tools until we can contain that magnitude of light. Now I'm going to call for this to be charged. And my favorite thing is to call for quartz crystal to be charged with the light of the Divine Mother, and to receive my devotions that the momentum might build. As you establish an altar, if you invite the angels, they will tend your altar. They will come and minister unto you. And when you enter that room where your altar is, you will feel a holiness. A holiness because your mantras are building in the crystal, and you have the focus the Master has blessed. You have placed your altar in the wilderness, and it's the place where you commune with your I Am Presence. Lord God Almighty, in the name I am that I am, I call to the Divine Mother, charge and charge and charge this crystal with thy healing power. Intensify in it thy ray and flame. O beloved Mother Mary, O Kuan Yin, Sarasvati, Lakshmi, Durga, Kali, come forth now. Come forth, O sweetness of the Divine Mother. Charge it by thy holy breath. Charge it by thy holy breath. Charge it by the white light of the 7 rays. By the cosmic cross of white fire, I accept it done this hour in full power, and I thank thee, O God. I would like to run through these masters. We are always under the cudgel of time. People say to me, what do you talk about for 5 hours? I say, well, just come and see. Here's El Moria. Here's the Lord of the first ray who called me to be a messenger and trained me. And this beloved El Moria trains you on the first ray of God's will. His chakra is blue. It has 16 petals. His retreat is the Temple of Goodwill in Darjeeling, India. Now, the Lords of the Seven Rays is a book on the mystery of God, on God's mystical body, all of us. And I tell how Jesus introduced us to these seven masters long before we knew there were masters. El Moria then uses the diamond, the sapphire, the star sapphire, and the lapis lazuli. You'll see these in order as they come through now. He also uses quartz crystal, as all masters do. He uses all of these to focus the ray of God's will. El Moria was embodied as Abraham. Abraham, you will recall, met Melchizedek. After he was victorious in battle, he tithed to him, the great initiate, Melchizedek. He was Melchior, the wise man, one of the three. It was Dwal Kul, DK, Kutumi, KH, and the Master M. El Moria, who were those three wise men who by astronomy followed the star, and the star over Bethlehem is the great causal body of the I Am Presence of Jesus, so intense that it could be seen. The star of your causal body, announcing the birth of the Christ in you, is over you now. Moria was Arthur, King of the Britons. He was St. Thomas Becket and St. Thomas More. And he was Akbar, the great Mughal Emperor of India. He was a statesman. He is a first-rate person of a Mercurian mind, quickness in action, always practical, always organizing to get things done. If you have first-rate qualities, you have an extraordinary energy and power, you are in action constantly, and you are a person that can always organize, administrate. You may be in law, you may be in any area of life, but you are active. And you love the inner blueprint of life, and you love it as the will of God, whether you call it that or not. El Moria trains you in the mastery of the power of the spoken word and being a co-creator with God. We're going to take a break shortly, and I'm going to give you a wonderful meditation of El Moria when we return. So that's the path of the first ray master. The second ray master is Lord Lanto, the quietness of wisdom's flame, the second ray, and the crown chakra. The color is yellow, the petals are 972. That's why it's called the 1,000-petaled lotus. Lord Lanto lived on Lemuria as a high priest in the temple of the Divine Mother, and today he uses the Grand Teton in Wyoming, where there the Royal Teton Retreat is, to teach souls. He trains us to receive gifts of the Holy Spirit, the word of wisdom and word of knowledge, even as Moria trains us to receive the gift of faith and the gift of wisdom. Lord Lanto uses the yellow diamond, the yellow sapphire, the topaz, and the citrine quartz. These are all used to focus and to attune and quicken your crown chakra. At Summit University, which is a 12-week retreat you can spend at the ranch studying these teachings, there is a yellow topaz that is used for the touching of the crown chakra and the quickening of that chakra by the Holy Spirit, the great Lord, the Maha Kohan. Lord Lanto was a contemporary of Confucius, and Confucius considered himself his pupil. He was the Yellow Emperor, the Duke of Zhou, and he wrote the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Internal Medicine. It discusses the balance of energies and their transformations through the body in the macrocosm and the microcosm, and based on its teachings, the macrobiotic diet has come down to us from that ancient understanding of our bodies. He is one who sponsors teachers, sages, philosophers, those who love to study and give knowledge and carry that illumination forward. They are the repositories of the wisdom of civilizations. If you are a teacher or a student or love to study and learn, you have development on the second ray, and you find the second ray a relief from the first ray, which is so active energetically. And this is the quiet contemplation and going within. And then when we have the wisdom, we need the first ray to put it into action. So that's the nature of Lord Lanto. The third ray is Paul the Venetian, who was an artist on Atlantis in Peru, and in his last life is Paolo Veronese. His is the heart chakra, 12 petals, the color of the ray is pink. His retreat was the Chateau de Liberté in southern France that looks something like this castle we're seeing. But he holds classes in the Temple of the Sun over Manhattan, which is the great shrine of the Divine Mother of America, who is known as the Goddess of Liberty. And the statue there marks the place of the great retreat that is over New York, the Temple of the Sun that was once physical on Atlantis. Now, these retreats I'm speaking of from where the masters teach are in the etheric octave. They once were physical in past golden ages. As the vibrations of Earth declined, they were withdrawn to the etheric plane. The etheric plane is just as concrete and physical, in fact more concrete than where we live right now. You are probably here because your soul in your finer bodies has been journeying to these retreats for many years. And you are seeking to find here what you are learning at night because you don't quite remember it all. You just get snatches and bits of it as intuitive flashes. Now, these Lords of the Seven Rays have opened their 7 retreats as universities of the Spirit, and in an unprecedented manner, at the end of this age of Pisces, are receiving tens of thousands of souls studying there nightly. If you desire to study at their retreats, and you have a little decree session before you go to bed and some meditation, maybe 15 minutes, and you call to the angels of Archangel Michael to come to you and escort you safely in your soul and your finer body to the retreat of your choice. And you may have a picture of it in your bedroom, so you can visualize the Grand Teton, or you can visualize Darjeeling, India, where Almoria teaches. And you put your head on your pillow, you welcome the angels, you go to sleep, and after you are in a very deep sleep, your soul then makes that journey. So for those who don't quite remember what they are learning, what we have done is the masters have trained us as messengers, and Mark and I have written over 50 books of the Ascended Masters' teachings. So there is a wealth of knowledge and understanding, and when you read it, you will remember it. The reading is like the quickening. All people, I would say 90% of the people who read our books tell me this is what they have believed all their life, but no one quite focused it, put it all together, did the research, and made sense out of it. So I know that these teachings are the foundation of Aquarius, and they are our free and glad gift to all people with no strings attached. If our organization meets your needs, you're welcome in it. If it doesn't, that's fine. I'm here as a sister on the path with you to help you if you need my help. Our goal is to put your hand in the hand of your Holy Christ Self and in the hand of the Ascended Masters and help you over the astral sea of your karma during that period when difficulties arise. Now, besides the books, the masters hold 12 retreats called Summit University to actually study physically, then in a structured course and environment, what we learn at inner levels. The most important retreat coming up is the 4th of July conference at the ranch from about the 29th of June through the 4th of July. Mark it on your calendar because it's the greatest place in the whole wide world to spend a vacation. It's 33,000 acres of ranch, high mountain country next to Yellowstone Park. There's plenty of vacation sites in the area besides this conference. Last year, 4,500 people attended. They come from all over the world. There's nowhere you can meet finer Aquarians, new Aquarians come together for the healing of a planet. We give lots of mantras, days on end, directing them into the earth body to hold the balance of the earth for earth changes and into the astrological configurations and prophecies that are coming upon us. Now, getting along with these masters a little bit quickly so I can give you a break now. The Lord of the third ray teaches the path of love, and he teaches at this temple of the sun, which is the temple of the goddess of liberty. He uses the ruby, the diamond, the garnet, rose quartz, and pink beryl for the strengthening of the physical heart, the purification of the blood, the refinement of the consciousness that is in the blood, and the development of divine love in your temple, the expansion of divine love. He is the great artist, and if you have artistic talent, even if it's undeveloped, if you love beauty and you love love and you love to be expanding your heart and directing light, if you are creative in any sense of the word, you have elements of the third ray of God's love and divine art and beauty. It's the ray where you realize the Holy Spirit. The fourth ray is the base of the spine chakra, the white light of the Divine Mother. The master is Serapis Bey, the great master of the pyramids, whose retreat is at Luxor, Egypt. He bore the flame of the ascension from the Ascension Temple on Atlantis before Atlantis sank. And he carried that flame to that place of safety and established his retreat. He re-embodied there as the Egyptian pharaoh on Amenhotep III, 1417 to 1379 BC. He brought Egypt to its height of diplomatic prestige and prosperity. He is the divine architect. If you are an architect and love excellence and inner design and are always seeing the inner design of an event or of a building or of an invention or of yourself, you love Serapis Bey because he is pure white fire discipline, and he teaches you the highest levels of excellence. He built the temple at Luxor, and it is a book that explains the secret functions of the organs and nerve centers. He was Leonidas, the king of Sparta, in 480 BC. He and 300 of his countrymen defended the pass of Thermopylae against the invading army of the Persian king Xerxes. They stood fast in their white fire, and they gave their lives for the continuation of their country. Serapis Bey uses the diamond, the pearl, the zircon, and the quartz crystal. His is the path of the ascension. He receives you at Luxor to prepare you for your ascension in this life. And many of you here have received, before you came into embodiment, the annunciation that in this life you would reunite with God, that this is your final incarnation, and that you would find the path and the teaching to enable you to ascend at the lawful and natural conclusion of this life. This is the path of the devotion to the Divine Mother, as we said before. We go to the fifth ray, Hilarion, who was embodied as the Apostle Paul. The fifth ray is the third eye, the emerald, the jade, the diamond, and quartz crystal. The retreat of Hilarion is at Crete in Greece. He teaches us to receive the gifts of healing. In my book, I have gone into detail of the life of the Apostle Paul and his next embodiment after that is Saint Hilarion, who was a great healer in his day. He made his ascension at the conclusion of that life. He passed on in 371 AD. Those on this ray are musicians. All musicians are on the 5th ray. It's the ray of music, sponsored by the Elohim of music. It is the ray of science, mathematics, wholeness, and all related fields of health. It's the ray of divine vision for precipitating in the physical what we see with our inner vision. The 5th ray is the ray whereby the first 3 and the 4th become physically manifest. It's the ray of technology, of applied science. People on this ray have energy and zeal, and they have to be bringing things into form. They love green, they love plants, they simply love science in all of its wonders and aspects. The 6th ray is the Lady Master Nada, the solar plexus that is purple and gold, 10 petals. She uses the topaz, ruby, alexandrite, and diamond with pearl. She was at one time the master of a healing temple on Atlantis that exists today in the etheric octave over New Bedford, Massachusetts, and the entire Massachusetts area. You notice many, many medical centers are there. That is the influence of that retreat. She also was an attorney and a judge. She defends the oppressed and the poor. This is Jesus' ray and the ray of the 6th ray of Pisces. And on this ray, this is people helping people, public servants, those in social services, counseling, psychology, family problems, children's problems, people who always have to be helping other people. Love the ray of Nada. Each one of these allows us to realize our Christhood in the area of activity that we love most and do best in. So we're not all carbon copies of Jesus by any means. Some people can't identify with living a life like Jesus, but they can identify with living a life like Pythagoras, or like St. Francis, or like any one of these embodiments we're talking about, devoted to the bringing forth of excellence. This brings us to the 7th ray and the seat of the soul chakra. And I told you about Saint Germain's embodiments when we began this evening. He was always a scientist. He was also Roger Bacon in the 13th century. And those who love Saint Germain love freedom and use freedom to liberate others. They are free spirits, they are alchemists, they are inventors, innovators. They always have the new and avant-garde approach. If you're an Aquarian in this age, you're right in sync with the age in this initiation of your embodiment. I have some Aquarians in my family, and they always amaze me at the uniqueness of their approach to anything. They always think of the thing that nobody else thinks of. Now, this is the priesthood of the 7th ray. Melchizedekian priesthood involves the priesthood of science and religion. Both are the qualities of those who administer at the altar. It is the ray of science and New Age science. Francis Bacon is the father of inductive reasoning. Saint Germain, then, is the great liberator of the age. He comes in diplomacy. He comes to manifest through all walks of life with the spirit of freedom. Having so said, I invite you to sing to the Lady Master Nada and take your break and get some fresh air, have a good time, and be sure to come back. The best is yet to come. Nada's song is on page 8. You can sing it or just listen to it as you go.
With beauty and light from the sun. Search throughout life till you find it, for love is the nature of God. To know Him as love will transform us, inspire us to live before God. By service in love, precious love, will nourish the flame in each heart. The beauty of God's ministration, by angels forever impart. By flame of peace, its ray of cheer, flows from my heart the ocean's fear. Jesus alone, the true way, adoring, by cosmic Christ who illumines the law. Oh, harmony, take thy dominion, attendance each hour of the day. Thy heavenly melody flowing composes a love symphony. We call forth God's praise and His blessings to you, dearest teacher of love. Now help us exalt our blessed Father to live in the Christ-like above. Oh, let thy power to diminish pride, now bring to all divine delight. God's blessing, glory, guidance divine, our love with thine shall evermore shine.
God's real in you, God's real in me. Let's say it. Page 34 in your mantra booklet, the very last page. If you're stuck on the floor and can't move, you don't have to stand, but the rest of you can stand. It's in the mantra booklet. It's page 34 inside the back cover. This is a New Age folk song.
I have a keynote, a great divine plan that sings in my heart and says who I am. It swells in a chorus that echoes from far, saying I love who you are. With the masters beside me to show me the way, my I am presence to life every day. My own inner being's as free as a dove, feeling the warmth of God's love. God's real in me, I know is true, and that same God is in you too. I wake up every
Thank you. Won't you be seated? If you turn one page back, you're going to find a wonderful New Age song called The Evening Star. Venus, the star of love, is a planet where many of you have spent lifetimes. And the great guru Sanat Kumara, who came to Earth to restore our memory of our threefold flame long ago, is the hierarch of Venus, and his divine complement is the Lady Venus, and she is a great divine mother. So Henry Wadsworth Longfellow wrote this poem, The Evening Star, to Venus, and our New Age musicians put it to music. And it's a wonderful meditation on love and the angels of light and brothers and sisters of Venus who are there in the etheric octave today. Page 32.
Oh, in the painted oriel of
Another quote from the Gospel of Thomas, the secret gospel, finds Jesus saying the following: "Let him who seeks continue seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will become troubled. When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished. And he will rule over the all." That to me is an amazing statement. The all is your I am presence and the causal body that surrounds it. And the meaning to rule over the all is that through the science of the spoken word and your heart flame and that Christ self of you, you can direct the light of the all very specifically into world conditions, which means it is you who decides and determines how God's light will manifest on earth as his son. And so that puts you in the driver's seat here below. You're in the driver's seat, and therefore you take dominion in the earth and do so by accessing the light of the all. The kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you. When you come to know yourselves, then you will become known, and you will realize that it is you who are the sons of the living Father. But if you will not know yourselves, you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty. Jesus said, "Recognize what is in your sight, and that which is hidden from you will become plain to you. For there is nothing hidden which will not become manifest." The story of you and your twin flame cycling through that causal body is what we return to now, because we desire with all of our hearts to attain the fulfillment of the two greatest longings of our life. First, the reunion with God, and secondly, the finding of the beloved twin flame. You may know your twin flame. You may be blessed with having been a part of that person in this life or recent embodiments. You may not know your twin flame. Your twin flame could be an ascended master, which is why you are so eager to discover that truth and to embody it, because you have a master who is the other side of yourself, who is sponsoring you and continually pulling you up higher. That is a great vantage place to be in. You could be the one half of the whole today that is more enlightened and more advanced on the path, and your twin flame could still be lost out there somewhere, locked into this or that karma or entanglement. But we are talking about the relationship of twin flames now in the white fire body, and the fact that we are one because we have an identical inner fiery blueprint. When we were created as two halves of the divine whole, we were given a unique blueprint, one in the plus and one in the minus. There are no other two people in all of cosmos, no others that have ever been created with that identical inner blueprint. And it is manifest in the highest causal body of your being and comes through at all planes of manifestation. So it is natural to be one with the twin flame, and we serve together after we selected the major ray that we would go forth and use to offer the gift of our love on the altar of evolutions of worlds. The ray of the major, the ray of the minor, those two rays. And in past golden ages, before the fallen angels rebelled against God, were cast out of heaven and took a lot of souls with them into lower planes, we dwelt with our twin flame in the octaves of light in golden age communities and civilizations. There are twin flames who never have descended into imperfection. They came forth out of the spirit sphere of that great causal body, and they went forth with twin causal bodies. They descended into the matter sphere, but they came no lower than the heaven world of this matter sphere, which is called the etheric octave. And that's where the retreats of the Brotherhood are that I was telling you about. In 14,000 years, 2,000-year embodiments apiece for 7 ages, we could realize and fulfill the 7 planes of our being, and endow the matter universe with our love, our fire, and our creation. And we could ascend back to the heart of God, never having entered into a karma-making situation. We are always wed to one another. Opposite incarnations put us as male or female. And this is the ideal state whereby God has created the issue of himself to represent the father-mother principle of life. There is a legend in every world religion, and simply general legends on the planet, about the coming of aliens or fallen ones. There is the record in Revelation 12 where Michael and his angels cast out the devil and his angels, the dragon. And it seems that this archangel Lucifer, when God presented to the whole company of angels and heavenly hosts the birth of twin flames of his son and daughter, as these angelic hosts had been created to minister to us and teach us, there came a time when this archangel rebelled and said, "I will not serve your offspring. I will not minister to your children. I pre-existed them. I am greater than they are. And furthermore, I can run the universe better than you, God, and better than your sons and daughters." So this is the act of the great rebellion, the denial of the universal Christ in the issue of God, in his children, in his twin flames. And that great rebellion is the definition of absolute evil, because it is the denial of absolute good, or the Christ in you. There is absolute good in this cosmos, and it is God, and every emanation of himself that is in us. And there is absolute evil in those who have made war against him, and against the Divine Mother in heaven, who gives birth to the man-child, recorded in Revelation 12. The man-child is the universal Christ. So that absolute evil in these angels is a given and a fact of life that we have to deal with as we enter the new age. Remember, the war began in heaven in the etheric octave with a great rebellion. And God and his angels saying, "This evil may not abide in this high vibration. It must be cast down to the lower vibration." So they were cast down into the earth, into this dense matter that we are now in, and they were cast into physical bodies such as we now wear. And then the warning is given in the book of Revelation, and it says, "Woe to you, ye inhabitants of the earth, for the devil is come down to you, having great wrath, for he knoweth that he hath but a short time." This activity then of these fallen ones coming into the earth has the second prophecy, which says that the fallen angels went to make war with the woman and her seed. So the seed of the woman, or the children of the Divine Mother in the earth, are the butt of these fallen angels, who, from the highest state from which they fell, have retained a certain power. They occupy power in the earth, in the establishment, in the banking houses east and west, in the governments of nations, in the control of people, economies, populations. They're in control in more places than you realize. We all have a sense that there's an establishment there. There's an order of people who somehow control things, who don't always have our best interests at heart. Well, now we can define a certain life wave and evolution and understand that no matter how they look or how they smile and glad hand and make all their campaign promises or whatever else they're doing, and I'm not saying that any of those candidates may be in this category, but they certainly have been from time to time, they always act against the expansion of the light in the people and for their gain of money and power and control. So we've been watching this in all walks of life for centuries, and if you study history, you can always see that certain key individuals were responsible for the downturn of civilizations, the fallen angels, and certain key individuals have been responsible for the moving up of civilizations. And they are the great Christed ones who have come to save us from these fallen ones. Today it is our hour to raise up the light within ourselves to be true shepherds and ministering servants. What happened to us then, as we were in the first octaves of light, the etheric plane, is described in the allegory of Genesis. The Garden of Eden is a mystery school. The Lord God who walks and talks with us in it is the cosmic Christ. And Adam and Eve are archetypal profiles of twin flames. In fact, there were many twin flames in this and other mystery schools. The ones called serpent are fallen angels who had great attainment in the raising up of the Kundalini and the sacred fire in the temple. And that's called the serpent fire, so they're called serpents. They had the mastery of the crown chakra, and they turned inside out the mind of God and used it for philosophical systems, political systems, all kinds of perversions of the true path to enslave us. They came with their initiation, the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and offered it to us before we had partaken of the fruit from the teacher, the living guru. Had we received that knowledge after the realization of our full Christ consciousness, it should not have divided us. But because the false guru and the false initiator moves in just before the true initiator is come, and that happens in every century, that fruit and partaking of it gave us the sense of duality and relativity, like two-eyed vision, no longer seeing the pure absolute good. And with that lowered vision and that sense of relative good and evil, we descended. We lost the etheric estate and we felt naked because we were no longer clothed upon by the light of that living teacher and the light and the path of initiation. So we were sent into a lower density, and instead of now learning our lessons by the teacher who would teach us right and wrong, good and evil, and take us all the way through an understanding of absolute evil, but without the necessity of experimenting with it, experimenting with unreality as we do today. So, the choice of free will that we exercised is to learn our lessons by our karma instead of directly face to face with the great master who was our teacher. So the words in Genesis is that they were sent from the garden lest they should eat the fruit of the tree of life and live forever in their imperfect state. The highest initiation we can receive is to receive the fruit of the tree of life. So we learn by the law of karma, by cause and effect, by trial and error, by free will, in a state of ignorance, clothed upon with our own density of centuries of karma. Now what happened to us in the course, we went forth, and when we left Eden we were together with our twin flame. But as the lifetimes unfolded and we got mixed up and entangled with this and that fallen one or fallen angel, we made karma with other people. In making that karma, we either had to be in their families or be with them. What happened to us is we got separated from our twin flame, and as embodiments succeeded and the mists of forgetfulness came upon us, we forgot all about that mystery school, about our origin in the great central sun, about our journey through the great spheres of light, about why we got into this condition here below, and how we were going to get out of it. And that's just about where we find ourselves today. And with the dawn of Aquarius, the quickening, the enlightenment, and the sense of that beloved twin flame and the sense of our God, we're about to turn around and walk that path all the way back home, retracing our footsteps. The going out is easy, but when we turn around and go back, we are retracing those footsteps of our karma, and we have to transmute it every step of the way. So it seems to be an uphill climb, but the winds of Aquarius and the violet flame are in our sails. Now this longing in our heart for the divine union with God and the oneness with the other half of ourselves is certainly a dominant force that impels us professionally, educationally, on the quest, on the search, seeking the perfect relationship. So desiring that twin flame, people have gone in and out of many relationships, thinking they have found the one, and only to come to the realization that It is a karmic situation and it comes to an end. So we understand those experiences. Many of us have been through them. I would like to tell you that when I first became aware of our beloved Saint Germain, you can see your twin flames and the causal body in this painting, which depicts the reunion in the causal body, which we're going to celebrate in this. Anyway, at the age of 18, I was going off to college, leaving my home in New Jersey. And I prayed a prayer to God and said, if there's anything you've placed in my home of which I've not availed myself, please tell me. I'm leaving now. I'm expressing my gratitude for my parents and everything that has been done for me, but I won't be coming back. I wanted to be sure that I definitely had not missed anything, any clues to my divine plan that I had to know about. And God spoke to me and said to me to take a certain book off the shelf in my mother's library and to read it. And I had seen that book since I was tiny. And the book always had a presence and an aura that frightened me. It seemed that it was so intense that I was afraid to take it off the shelf. And I would walk around it and look at it and then tiptoe away. So this day, I had to be obedient to that because I had made the prayer and God had answered. So I could do nothing else but take the book off the shelf, open it up, and I saw the face of Saint Germain. And that face became alive and quickened by his presence. The spark went through my being. I leapt. I couldn't believe that I had found this master whom I recognized instantly. And I ran to show the picture to my mother and I said, here is Saint Germain. I know him. I've got to find him. I know I have a mission that has to do with him. So she said she knew him, but she didn't tell me about him before because I should find him for myself. Well, I set out to find Saint Germain for myself, and it took me 5 years to find him, even though I would walk and talk with him and Jesus every day. And I thought to myself, there must be really something wrong with you that you are not finding this master. Because I knew when the pupil is ready, the teacher appears. So what could I do to get ready? I would pray. I would do everything I knew how to do. And I realized that the key to meeting the master had to be obedience. So I decided to listen to the voice of God within with all my heart and to respond to that voice and to obey immediately. And I thought as one thing would lead to another, if I would always obey the voice of God, I would get nearer to him and to the master. At this point, I wasn't even aware that there was such a thing as a twin flame. And I had a one-pointed goal in mind, and that was to find the teacher. The teacher who would give to me what I could not receive directly from the octaves of light. I received a lot from Jesus and Saint Germain, but there were things I had to be taught. And our karma gives us a certain spiritual blindness, so we do not see in ourselves what the teacher points out to us needs correcting. So in 1961, by a long circuitous route, I had found students of the Ascended Masters in Boston. They invited me to a meeting and told me that a man by the name of Mark Prophet, who was a messenger for the Great White Brotherhood, was coming to town to give a lecture and a dictation. And I leapt. I was so excited about such an event that I should hear a dictation from the Ascended Masters. And as I entered that room and I sat in my seat that night, and I looked up at him, he was sitting at the altar in meditation. And he opened his eyes and looked at me, and I looked into those eyes, and I found the pair of eyes that I had been seeking my entire life. Those eyes spoke to my soul, and I knew that I had found my teacher, and the one that was going to quicken in me the divine memory, what I had to do in this life, how I was going to do it, the teaching I needed to know, and the self-mastery of my being. Before the service started, I then closed my eyes, and he took me in meditation to the higher octaves, and I saw the whole world filled with daisies in the field. And these daisies were the faces of souls, souls who had forgotten where they had come from, who were of God but needed to be quickened. And I knew that I had to go and find every single one of them and give to them the teaching that would remind them of who they were and where they came from. So I knew I had to be a student before I could be a teacher. And so, not long after that, El Morya appeared to me in a park in Boston, stood before me in his intense reality of the sternness and fiery presence of the Ascended Master, and he simply looked at me and said, "I have need of a feminine messenger. Go to Washington and I will train you through Mark Prophet." And with that he transferred to me a fiery coil of light and was gone. So my path and course were set. But that night that I met Mark Prophet, he delivered a dictation from Archangel Michael, which liberated me and cut me free. I knew to fulfill my divine plan, and I felt the light and the empowerment of it. The next thing that happened is that some time later Mark informed me that we were twin flames. And it was almost an oddity to me that here I have found my teacher and now he is telling me he is my twin flame. And so I thought, the cosmos is going to have to give me truth, the proof of this information. So I called to El Morya and I said, I would like to have proof and evidence of this which I am being told. And so I made that call and I went about my business. And by one day, I looked into the mirror as I was getting ready to go to school. And into that mirror, I saw the face not of myself, but of the Holy Christ self of Mark Prophet, himself in that exalted image. And it was such a shocking experience because I saw my own inner Christ self, and I saw that he was the mirror image of it. And this affected me profoundly to the core of my being. I had the inner proof that we were actually one at the highest levels of our being. So what happened is that I went to be trained as a messenger. Mark told me he would not be on earth very long, but he was here to do that very thing, to train me so that the mantle of prophecy could be passed and the teachings would go on. He stayed with me longer than he said he would. He stayed for 12 years. We were married and we had 4 children. And suddenly in 1973, he took his leave of this world. He passed on suddenly. And a number of days later, I saw at inner levels his reunion with his I Am Presence and his ascension. So I am one of you here whose twin flame is ascended. And I can tell you that the most influential person in many lifetimes, probably since I knew Jesus Christ, was Mark Prophet. He was the most spiritual man I have ever known in this life. He was profoundly and deeply one with God, had a profound compassion, and knew the mysteries as they were part of him. He was a wonderful teacher, and he truly knew how to tutor and refine my soul to give me the disciplines and the initiations that came from the masters. So after his thorough training and El Morya's thorough training, Saint Germain received me, and I knelt before him, and he placed upon me the mantle of messenger of the Great White Brotherhood. Now what we're going to do then is we're going to take the teachings of El Morya in a meditation on the great central sun. And this beloved master is going to lead us and guide us on a journey to the sun behind the sun, the great central sun of being. And if you enter this meditation freely, as you desire, you will feel yourself rising and accelerating and a sense of going higher and higher. What we are going to do is place our things beneath our seats. You are welcome to stay right where you are in front of me if you like. But if you would like a seat, there are seats available now. Looks like everybody's real happy down here, down here in front. I am going to ask you to sit up for this meditation if you are going to be here. And I want to tell you that The first part of the meditation is instructional, preparing your consciousness for it and allowing you to relax and go into deep meditation. And then at the point where I say, in the name I am that I am, I call forth the soul, you should feel your soul rising from the seat of the soul chakra, up the spinal altar, up a golden crystal spiral that you visualize like a gold coil that is studded with crystal, like a golden staircase, and the soul mounts up the chakras to the plane of the heart, the Holy Christ Self, the I Am Presence. And you visualize yourself traveling in this coil inside of a very expanded crystal cord. And that crystal cord goes through the heart of your Christ Self and your I Am Presence all the way back to the heart of God and the central sun. You are so close to God, as near as heartbeat, because that life descending in you, beating in your heart, comes from the heart of Almighty God. And so it's the umbilical cord that we're extended into the matter spheres, and over it we retrace our footsteps higher and higher till we come to that great sphere of light. There we meet our Creator, Elohim, and we look into the eyes of our beloved twin flame. The inner memory is awakened, and we descend again to our bodies in this room.